Hey everybody, Ken Plume here with another brand new episode of A Bit of a Chat, this time with a returning guest. He is a member of the League of Gentlemen. He is the co-creator, co-writer, co-star of Psychoville and Inside Number 9. It's Mr. Reece Shearsmith. And we had a grand old conversation. And if you're a fan of A Bit of a Chat and want to support it, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon by going to patreon.com/Ken Plume. It is immensely appreciated. And now, without further ado, my bit of a chat with Mr. Reece Shearsmith. Enjoy! I'm Ken Plume, and you're listening to A Bit of a Chat with me, Ken Plume.
Ken.
Well, Mr. Reece Shearsmith, I do declare. How are you?
Hello. I'm very good, thank you. And you?
Perfectly fine. Wonderful.
Good. I'm glad. And thank you for moving it ahead by half an hour.
Not a problem. It hopefully has been a pleasant day so far. Yours is nearly done.
I know. Well, 4:30, and tonight I'm going to see, at the behest of the people from Fright Fest, I'm off to see The Love Witch.
Oh,
Have you heard about this film?
No.
Well, I don't really know much about it, but I think it's sort of a film, obviously a film made now, but done in the 80s, sort of the peak of slasher horror type feel. What was that?
I don't know. What happened?
I don't know. Some horrible crackling, like we were being invaded.
Oh, I heard absolute silence.
Oh, right. At my end, it was just like white noise.
Oh, well, I just completely stepped on my sandwich joke.
Strange. I didn't hear. You have to repeat it.
I assume the movie you're about to see is about a sandwich.
Yeah. I don't know.
It really was not worth repeating.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. So yes, who knows? The Love Witch. I'm intrigued to see it. I think you remember that film, The House of the Devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be a bit like that, where they've sort of recreated an 80s video nasty type feel. But
something you haven't dived into yet.
Not quite. Yeah, I mean, we did have you seen? I don't know. I'm intrigued to know how many of the number 9s you've seen.
Well, I'm current. I'm up to
oh, great.
All 3 of the ones that have aired so far.
Yeah, great. Well, the Christmas one, I suppose, was a little bit of a foray into snuff movie at the end when we did our sort of 70s. We went and did a completely authenticated 70s TV thriller, and then we did our ending, which was quite sort of a horrible ending.
Well, it was brilliant. It was like it was meta within meta.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of people angry at that episode, as they normally are with our work. I don't know why we are so careful, and we fucking work so hard, and yet we get the most rigorous scrutiny over the work itself. It's like, how many all these other bastards that churn out the same old shit, and we hold across the coals much more rigorously than anybody else.
Do you think because you've raised the bars so high for yourselves?
Maybe it is, yeah. Maybe we are.
So the criticism is a compliment?
I don't know. I don't see it as such.
What was the most stinging feedback that you've heard? What was the thing that really hit you the most?
We're only 2 minutes in, and I'm onto this already.
We have to.
I know. Well. No, it's had very, very positive response. It's great, but there's some things I think. Well, on the one hand, you've
clearly
just got
one reviewer. If you could hunt down right now and strap to a chair and demand an explanation.
Yeah. Well, there are people that just don't go with it. There's lots of people nitpicking the Christmas one that it couldn't happen because there was so many crew there, and it's like, well, yeah, all right, but. Just decide that they all are in on it. There are more than one. There's a crew of people that know it's a snuff movie and they don't mind. And therefore, that's how they do it, But I absolutely concede that we sort of had our cake and ate it with that episode, because we were implying on the one hand that was a television program that was potentially could have gone out, and yet it never went out because it was all a ruse to kill a woman because it was a snuff movie. But we wanted to do a sort of 1970s, 80s Nigel Neal pastiche, so we did that, and then we added in the snuff movie end. But on the whole, I've been very pleased with the response. People like number 9. I think they admire the invention, and it's a really hard thing to keep doing. We're filming. I mean, literally a week off now, rehearsing the next block of the series 4. We've filmed 2. We've completed 2 episodes of the 4th series, and I'm still sort of marveling that we're allowed to do it. It's such a play box of. The other day we were writing the end of last year, we were writing the 6th one. We'd written 5, and Stephen and I were doing plays, and we had our last one to write, and we were in an incredible position. Steve said we can do anything we want we've got half an hour of television, we can do anything we want in it. And it's sort of terrifying because the parameters are the things that sort of help you sometimes. And we have got our parameters, of course, with number 9. They're all very insular and claustrophobic, and you can't really leave the space that we're in. But we do, we are sort of allowed to do anything, and it's incredible that we haven't been stopped.
Have you internally had that discussion about how long you can keep this plate spinning?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We always sort of sign and think like, that's it, they won't ask for any more, and then we're recommissioned. And it's brilliant,
so it's their
fault. But it's their fault for asking for more. We keep doing it. I mean, of course we will, as long as we can feel that we are. It has to pass our own sort of internal test of, have we sort of done that sort of thing before? And are we repeating ourselves now? We're wrapping up the same stories and different ideas. And so far, I think we haven't done that. So we're all right so far. And I think we probably could do another one if they wanted. I think they would have another one, but we'd have to wait and see. I'll see what we had the very strange thing of being recommissioned at the end. We delivered series 3 last April. This is how long it had been sat on it. But then we were immediately recommissioned for series 4 before it even gone out. So we just sort of carried on writing. But normally that's downtime when you don't know whether you're going to get a next series. That's the time when you recharge your batteries and you have a little rest, because there's no point in writing it if you're not sure it's actually even been greenlit. But we knew, so we just rolled on. And that was hard. That felt like we hadn't quite recharged the batteries to launch into the next set of stories. We just finished one and carried on with the rest. But we've done it, and they're good, I think. I think they're good stories. We've been very inventive with the form again. They're very different sort of ways of telling stories, which I think we sort of enjoy playing with the very idea of television and what you can do. So it's been a thrill to be in the middle of it. It's so odd to be doing it, though. We just were doing plays. I've been doing The Dresser for 6 months on stage in the West End. We finished, and I had a week off, and we started number 9. So
you've had no downtime.
Exhausted. No downtime. Yeah, just straight in, plunged in. But it's good to be busy, but it's exhausting as well.
Well, I mean, what's the closest you've come to hitting a wall? We just went, no, stop.
Yeah. What you mean creatively, or just my body stopping?
Sometimes those are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, no, true. We did, I think we'd written 5, we had 1 more to write, and we were doing the plays and writing in the days. And that was hard, because we really felt like we were doing 2 jobs, literally finishing at 5 and then going to the theatre and carrying on. That was hard to finish that last story, but I think it's a good one. We managed to do it, but that felt like a bit like work. It was like getting out of granite. There was an idea in here, but we've got to really chisel it out. And that felt quite tough to do. But only I think because we were doing the plays at night as well. And I had the part of Norman in The Dresser, and it's a huge part. You have this idea that you can do a play in the evening and you can write in the days. And I'm glad that we'd written as much as we had, because you think it's nothing, a couple of hours hanging over you at the end of the day. And it actually is it's exhausting. I know it's not going down a mine, but it was tiring, because it does hang over you. You sort of start to be prepared for doing it again about 12 noon. You've got it hanging over you.
Did you begin dreading one or the other?
Yeah, oh God, yeah. No, by the end, I was very pleased to end the play. I was sick of it by the end. Not sick of it, because you always arrive and you do it the best, and I always gave it 100%. But just the uphill struggle of getting there and getting it out can drive
certainly
you
you
mad,
have a personal life to balance with somewhere within both of those things as well.
Real life among all of it, yeah, really hard to be just a dad and carry on doing the normal things. It's easier to be away.
Don't worry, they wrote you off 6 months ago.
Yeah, they did, and it's a sort of part of the bargain. Right, we're losing you then. We'll see you at the other end. And that's, they're very forgiving for that because becomes all consuming and they all have to take on my mood. It's not fair. It's horrible, actually.
Yeah, you don't want them to grow up resenting.
No, exactly. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. No, but probably will.
I remember Series 3 was when we didn't see him for a month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, they'll have it all marked down and all the gripes charted back to when it happened and began. Yeah.
That's good. Well, you know what? You got to feed the resentments early.
I know, exactly, yeah. Get them used to it.
Otherwise, they'll find something else like the toy they didn't get for one Christmas.
Exactly, yeah. No, they need to be nurtured early.
You're giving them a proper resentment.
Yeah, you've got mini Edward Lionhearts being nurtured.
Well, I mean, going in now, having just written Series 4 and producing Series 4, I mean, how would you describe... Is there any fundamental difference in the process for you and Steve? From when you started to where it is now? Anything you've changed? Anything that's different?
Well, I mean, writing in general with Steve these days is much easier process than it used to be. I remember writing, I think Psychoville was the height of it feeling really like hard work. I don't know whether it was because of the parameters we set ourselves with the idea of the continuing narrative and it was quite a complicated story. We wanted it to be necessarily so, and leaving all these cliffhangers and trying to be inventive. That seemed hard, and it seemed like the way that I imagine writing is meant to be, where it's post-it notes on a wall and difficult avenues being, dead ends, and trying to write yourself out of holes and plot holes. And it was a lot of work, and it felt like we worked on it too long, I think. Now we sit and we talk a lot, for sometimes a couple of weeks before we write a number 9, but we talk about the idea of what we want to do. And then when we've got it, having talked about it for so long, we are able to then, I think, we've completely boiled down every aspect of what we want to write to a very judicious number of scenes. And I think then we can write without ever feeling like we've ground to a halt because we don't know where we're going. So that process of talking and being very clear about the direction is a new revelation to us. And it's been fun. I mean, I think these one-offs are great. I mean, it's that thing of anthology shows being very unpopular. I mean, I'm not sure why, because when you watch them, they're always if they're good, you forgive them for whatever they might be. I think there's this thing of the commissioner's idea of what people will or will not decide to watch or tune in for. The received idea with an anthology is that it ends, so there's no reason to return to it. But I think that with our thing, it's sort of the reason to return is Steve and I and our sensibility, and that's
you're establishing a brand loyalty.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and people go with it, and then they like some other more than others. My hatred of Inside Number 9 is that people instantly put them into best and worst. In the Radio Times ran this most hateful thing, and that is the person I want to strap down and set fire to. They did a thing, this whole fucking 2-page cannon fodder filler of all 13 episodes of Inside Number 9 from worst to best, and they only got good at about 3. There was something wrong with every single one of them. It was like, oh, come off it, you fucker. It was unbelievable. I mean, what other program gets that treatment? Worst to best. Doctor Who, I suppose they do it with, don't they?
Yes.
But I was really annoyed because I just thought they're all really good. They're all different. You can't say that any of them are terrible. We never set out to write a piece of shit. But you've deliberately gone through and thought, because they're all standalones, you can do that. But equally, of course, they're all completely different.
See, Series 5, you need to turn around and intentionally write a piece of shit and see how it turns out.
Yes, I know. Probably get a BAFTA.
Yeah. Finally, your award-winning episode.
I know, exactly, yeah. I had a thing from Sam Bain, who was complimenting us on the second series, and he said, you know that they are, Inside Number 9 is awards kryptonite, and it will never win anything.
Well, that's got to spur you on.
I know, but I mean, it's annoying because it's on the one hand, BAFTA, particularly for BAFTA. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in the open. It is meant to be an award for excellence, and it's not, because if it doesn't fit the category, you can't get in. You can't get a look in. So our thing, however good it might be, falls between the cracks always, and therefore never can be awarded for being good in its own right. So it's a shame.
Basically, you just have to bank on the Lifetime Achievement Award.
I'm just waiting on that, yeah. I'm going to get old and nearly dead before I will have recognition.
Yes. Well, it's something to look forward to. How important...
Every cloud.
Every single one. How important legitimately are awards for you?
Well, it's what I would like is some acknowledgement from the industry professionals that they like it. That it's
now you have to define industry professionals.
I know, I do. Well,
because you have a series right now. If I would have stepped back from an outside perspective, you have a series that you've been able to, cast it magnificently. Yeah. You have actors who want to work with you. Yeah. So as far as peers appreciate what you're doing and see the value in it, you could even say commissioners are doing it because you've been renewed.
Yes.
And there has been a level of support which admittedly has not been shown to your work in the past.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it starts to be conspicuous. I do think it's studiously ignored. And I don't know what it is. I mean, all I can think of is that it is to do with the categorization and how you arrive at things. If it ever got in the room, having been all the nominations, all the boxes ticked, it would at least, I think it would get a nomination, but it just simply can't get through the door because it's, the 12 Days of Christine, which is a great piece of television, and people still stop me and go, oh my God, and that moved me so much, blah, blah, blah. But I think people didn't think that Steve and I sort of did that kind of thing. It didn't get a single thing because it wasn't funny next to Car Share. And of course it's not, but it's a shame that good pieces of work can't be recognized. And I'm just sometimes sad that it's not. So of course, the truth is, and I do realize it, we are winning because we are doing it. We're actually making programs, and I'm still in it, having done League of Gentlemen nearly 20 years ago, and I didn't think there'd be a life beyond it. So I'm very happy, really.
But you're not. So what you need to do, Series 5, have at least one episode that's the 9th episode of a comedy series with a live audience and a laugh track.
Yeah.
And do every crass, awful thing.
Yeah.
And let
that's right. You're inside Studio 9. It starts with the red light flashing. Studio 9 and audience applause flashing, and we film a sitcom.
There's your gateway.
Yeah, and within it we do a version of a television program that we think would be deemed to be a comedy.
I hope I've sold you on this.
Yes. And that would be a way in. But we
call it 9 packets of crisps.
We're not in the business of dumbing down to the audience, as you know. So I think we'll just keep doing what we do. And if people still want it, it's great. I'm so pleased that they seem to have Steve and I as the people that do their dark comedy for them, because there's many other people who want to do this kind of thing, and we're still allowed to do it. And we're old now,
Are you feeling that? I mean, you've said it now. So is that legitimately how you're feeling?
Yeah, I do. I sometimes think, God, we are. I mean, not in a decrepit, poorly, but I do feel like, for what we do, I think we are.
You're established.
Yeah, well, I guess so. I mean, sometimes, I don't know. I had this conversation with you last time we spoke, but I never feel like we have got any status or I mean, I suppose we've got our canon of work, but no sort of pedigree. I don't know that I feel it at all. I think that we start each time with, like Men in Black, red dot on the forehead, and it's start again. And what have you got for us? But that's good. I think it makes you have to prove it every time. And I do think we do that. We do try. We're very self-aware of the work, and we're sort of fans of it. And I have the conversations that I think people will have about the work, because I'm so cynical. So and I try to head people off at the pass, which is why we've ended up writing these things with all these twists and turns. And I hate that people think it's only about the twist with number 9. It's like they're waiting for 28.5 minutes for 30 seconds at the end of a program.
To be fair, you have delivered pretty consistently.
I know. Well, that's very kind, and it's hard to do. But it isn't always about the last fucking 25 seconds of a program. You've got to have got there. That's the hard part.
Well, I mean, at what point, if you look at one of the episodes, can you isolate one where the clockwork risked becoming overwhelming? Where, I mean, have you ever gotten to the point of, we should just abandon this? Have you gotten close to that point of, this is just not working?
With the scripts and writing something. Yeah. We've began a few and got 10, 15 pages in and thought I don't know what this is, and we've stopped. And so we've left it. So there's been a few episodes that have been abandoned on the way. And I know it's been tantalizingly close. I think that, nothing's ever wasted. I'm sure we'll be able to return to it and fix it. But for now, some things have eluded us, and some things have been too elaborate. We had a really good one. I'm not going to say it because I think we might end up using it, but we had one that was it felt sort of too big for number 9. So I think we might end up using it as something else, but it did start out as an idea of an inside number 9, but we sort of went elsewhere, and it broke our rules in a way, so we couldn't use it. But nothing,
when you said that, I mean, what are the rules?
Well, you can't go anywhere. You have to stay in whatever 9 you're in. So they're all claustrophobic, and a lot of them are all real time, and that's hard to keep a story going because you rob yourself of all the tricks of being able to do exposition when time has passed, when you leave and you come back and things have changed. A lot of them are plays. I mean, there's lots of increasing inquiries about us doing them on stage, and I think it'd be great. I think it would be a lovely thing to do 3, a night where you do 3 of them on stage.
Yeah, could you do inside number 9?
An episode that's based on me and Steve writing inside them. Well, we sort of did that with the commentaries for series 2, which became their own story. Did you listen to those?
I did.
Yeah, there was a version of me. Well, it was just me, really. Getting more and more cross with Steve, and then he ends up killing me. And it was a nice little... So it wasn't just the commentaries, and they wouldn't let us put them on the DVDs. I think there was some compliance thing, which is annoying. So with that, I think the second series hasn't got them on, even though you can, I think, still get them on SoundCloud. But we've done commentaries for the third series for the Blu-ray. They're all coming out on Blu-ray, which is nice finally, because they all look very lovely when
it's a beautiful series
format. Yeah, it looks great, and I think. Yeah, it is. It's really nice. So I'm glad that that's going to finally happen, because I think there was a time when there wasn't. We get told, we were told there's no money for you to sit in a room for half an hour and do a commentary on these things, and no one's bothered. I thought, well, they would be if it was Doctor Who or Sherlock.
Well, so we had that conversation originally when we talked about doing those guerrilla commentaries.
Yes, well, then we sort of ended up doing it. Yeah, we found, well, let's just do them because people find it, don't they?
I mean, that's the joy of the internet, is if you put it out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, you could still sort of get your audience to hear what you want them to hear. So it was good to do that. I think people appreciated it, and the people we attract love the fact that it's so detailed. I mean, the crossword in The Guardian on the day that the Riddle of the Sphinx went out, it's a lovely thing to have, to be across all the worlds. We were joyous at the idea that someone might have sat down that morning and done that crossword and then watched Inside Number 9 and began to realize, I did this crossword this morning. It was for that reason we were joyous at the notion of that sort of cross-pollination.
Well, I mean, it's certainly become a show that's embraced its meta quality.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, how do you view your sort of obligation beyond the show? Are you engaging in these things for the fun of it?
Well, yeah, sort of. I mean, I think it's all part of just of it being a thing that I want people to know about. I just wish it would be. I'm sure that if it was parked somewhere else, and we had this same conversation about Psychobill, I'm sure, but that more people would like it. I'm sure a lot of people, more than the BBC think, would appreciate Inside Number 9. They're not all so grisly. There's some dark ones. There's some very silly ones. I mean, the Quiet Night In is just Lauren Hardy. So I think that there's the potential for a wider audience to see them. And I'd love for them to go on some, and be. They could. There's no reason why they shouldn't be as huge and as enthralling as Charlie's Black Mirrors. I think people would really get into it. I think perhaps that's got the science fiction element on its side, which is how people get past the idea of that being an anthology and that being such a bad thing.
Yeah, but
ours are so disparate. You are completely relying on just people, it's taste, isn't it? And not everyone's going to like one where it's set in a theatre, but they really like one where it's in a call centre. So it's a very, very mixed bag of chocolates. And
but to be fair though, with Black Mirror, it's become very difficult to watch them as the world further aligns.
Oh my God, I know.
What's within them.
Yeah, true.
I found it painful to try and watch the last series. No comment on the series, but the idea that the world is becoming a Black Mirror episode. I don't need to be mired in this now.
Yeah. In a version of events that's just too close to the truth. Yeah, I didn't see any of the last series. I've not seen any of the sort of souped up Netflix ones. Is it markedly different, or is it essentially the?
No. I think the success from a creative standpoint and the horrible aspect from a real world point of view is that it is the quality is exactly the same.
Yeah.
It didn't lose anything in its transition to a different platform, nor should it. I mean, if the whole point is why it achieved that broader platform is because of the quality of the episodes as it existed, there shouldn't be any reason to change it fundamentally.
Yeah. No.
I think that the beautiful thing about the show, having, introduced people to your show, not Charlie's, we're done talking about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got everything he wants.
Of course, yes. He's clicking his heels together.
It's a very easy show to introduce people to because there's no obligation outside of the episode that you give them.
Yeah.
There's no continuity.
Absolutely.
There's no, hey, you probably should see the entirety of the first season before you get an understanding of what this thing is.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
You can literally pick whatever your favorite episode is and go, here's your gateway.
Watch that. Yeah. That's good. I mean, and that's the beauty of the half-hour hit, isn't it? It's a lovely thing to get. It's like watching, pick and choosing your favorite Twilight Zone. It's a lovely thing to be able to point people in the direction of a great half-hour of storytelling, and hopefully that's what we've got. A few of them now, I hope. I mean, it'd be amazing to think at the end of this filming these ones, we'll have 24 different stories, and that's a lot of work. And it's enough for me to think, well, if people then did get hold of it, it would be. There's a lot to consume, it's a great, and it's all very much Steve and I's sensibility. I think it would be a great thing to discover, people are, but I do feel, I don't know whether it's me just in being mired in some publicity for the third series going out, but I've got a sense that more people know it. I don't know if that's true or whether I'm just slightly false syndrome of just seeing all the press coming out about it, but I feel like people might be going, "Oh, what is this?" And they're getting the back catalogue and they're catching up, going, "Oh, why didn't I not know about this?"
Well, I think if you see enough stories about it, it's floating around.
Yeah,
there's certainly word of mouth can't help but spread the longer the thing lasts.
Yes, of course, yeah, and the more you get, the more chance.
And the more episodes for people to pick from for their top 9 list.
Yeah, from their hated to best.
Well, I mean, what would you pick as a gateway?
Well, I mean, it wasn't even correct. The list wasn't even correct. Not that, of course, you could create a correct list, but it had like Elizabeth Gage, my favourite episode, as second to worst, and it had The Harrowing as the worst one, and you had Tom and Jerry as like 15. And he was saying it was a very muddled episode. I was like, who is this person?
If they started with the caveat that I love them all.
Yeah, but he didn't. It didn't. Worst.
Well, then he's just a jerk.
The word worst in a title about Inside Number 9.
Is there anyone that you looked at and it had a secret fear of yours?
What, that I had what?
You looked at it and you went, oh, gosh. I can't believe they actually identified that as awful. I really had misgivings about that episode.
Oh, right. And they sort of, they've nailed it. No, not really, because I genuinely don't think any of that. I mean, maybe there are some obviously people do, just as a matter of course, put them in an order. But when I think back to how we conceive them, and then I think about the content of each one, I really do think they've all got some merits. None of them are. I'm not unhappy with any of them, thinking that actually didn't work very well. I mean, if you could say the harrowing sort of is not funny, but even then it's a bit funny. But if you were going to level them not being funny, and it comes out of the BBC comedy and they're not funny, then that we are guilty of that, because some of them are straight drama, really. Christine, we thought it was going to be very badly received because we thought it is completely, there's nothing funny in it. It's just a drama. But people didn't seem to mind it. I think it's their favourite one. Needless to say, that was number one in the list.
So what's your number one?
Well, that's really hard. I think one of my favourites is the first one we ever did, Sardines. The one in the wardrobe.
I mean, I don't want to isolate, because I do love them all.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's very strange because we all really like Last Gasp, and it got maligned. It's hated as one that doesn't work, and there's a dud in this series, and it's that one. And really funny. That idea is a great idea, and the sort of horrible nature of those characters all vying for that balloon with the air in it. It's really, I thought it was a really good episode, and people hated it. So you can't. Obviously, we are not the people to judge, and I should just do the work and not worry about how it is taken.
No, you have to focus on this. This has to be the entirety of your life now. It's tracking down all of these lists that people are compiling.
People don't like me because I care about my own work, and they don't want to hear it. It's like, God, I am so passionate about it, and I've got an answer for everything.
Actually, the best revenge you can have is continue to add episodes so they have to, for the rest of their lives, continue to revise their lists.
Yeah. I keep finding new most worst ones.
Yeah. The fact that their work will never be done.
Yeah. But mine, that'll show them, won't it?
I can't go play ball with you, son. I have to go re-rank my Inside Number 9 list.
Yeah.
The bastards made another series.
Yeah, there's another one. I've got to add these to the end of the list.
You can just stop watching, Dad.
Yeah, I know.
Come back to us. No, I can't. They've done another.
It's funny. People are waiting for a not so good one. It's lovely. I mean, get lots of really great tweets, but I often get, I can't accept that it's another good one. When are you going to fail? It's like, don't say that.
Well, going back to the Christmas special, which was a beautiful watch. Also, as someone, who's seen plenty of 70s, British television.
Yeah, of course.
Just from a production standpoint, it was exquisite. But going back to that criticism that people had, I thought that you had an additional level of commentary within that, in the idea of a crew turning a blind eye in that period. Well, the monstrous nature before them, and what was happening was, in light of events that have come to light in recent years.
Yeah, of course.
An additional layer of commentary that you two were doing.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it wasn't by accident that it was sort of meant to be these sort of late 70s TV, and in that time, that's when you got the film Snuff, and you got the video nasties, and the idea of snuff films and doing the rounds. So it was a sort of meta thing that it would end on that note anyway. So I felt like it all sort of made sense in its own universe. And I didn't mind it. I didn't think we were sort of bending the rules too much. I thought it was a neat out, having done the commentary, which I think had it only been the commentary and that was our gimmick, I think it would have felt a bit gimmicky, and there's no real reason to do any of it then, because it would have merely been an exercise in, are we able to authentically film something that and have it look like it used to? And the answer was yes, because we managed to find those cameras. I never dreamed that we would go to the lengths we went to, but Adam Tandy, the producer, said, we'll source the cameras, and they fired them up from about 1981 or 78 and 1979, and we filmed it on these 3 cameras in 2 days, and it was edited on in the studio how they would have done it. And it couldn't have been more authentic. And that's how we got that smearing of the light of the candle light as the cameras moved across the wide open, vastly too big barn because they needed the room for the huge cameras. So it was a lovingly beautiful rendering. And it was the temptation once we got started was to sort of make it very clunky television, do a sort of Acorn Antiques Victoria Wood thing where you would see booms going in and shadows and obvious mistakes. But I was the one that kept saying, no, keep it like it could have been broadcast. That and they'd be dipping mics in. I say they wouldn't. That's bad, and it did used to be sometimes that bad, and they'd have to move on. But it was never that bad. Keep it so they could have kept it as a broadcastable thing, and I really wanted it. I knew that we had a BFI screening, and I thought I wanted to. I want them to really sort of admire the restraint and feel like it was a lost episode that could have gone out, you know. And that was
the beautiful thing about the commentary is that those mistakes that you're mentioning that you baked into it, were stuff that if that commentary track had been stripped away, most people would not have noticed.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like, that didn't match in that cut.
Yeah, and the painting vanishing and then appearing in the right place. You never noticed it until it was pointed out. And I think that was very carefully placed, you know, and that when it was a hard task to film it, knowing that there was going to be a commentary over it and things had to happen at a certain time. And that was tricky to get right. We had to have someone reading out the commentary quite slowly. We didn't know when then it was going to be Derek Jacobi, but someone was reading out and we had to sort of get the timing right because a lot of it was in continuous take. I think there was some editing where we were able to make it fit, but generally we had the double thing of filming it, knowing that there was going to be commentary over it, and in some instances, dialogue that didn't need to be heard, but we need to have voices underneath a commentary that we knew was going to happen, so we had to write blurb. So it was a sort of a metatextual nightmare, but worth the effort.
Now, on the Blu-ray edition, is there going to be a special version of it you can watch with the commentary, like you're watching that special?
I don't know. I don't know whether it's built in or whether they did that, whether they could remove Jacobi's commentary. I know it's odd because we do a commentary on his commentary. So there's lots of voices going on, but that would have been a good thing, but it's probably too late for that now. But you certainly...
it's never too late to put it out on the internet.
That's true, yeah. There's definitely a little sort of featurette about the making of that episode particularly, which they've put on, which is good.
So, I mean, as far as your personal creative bucket list, is there anything still left on it?
Well, it's hard, isn't it? Because we have done so many facets of all the things that have, you know, haunted me and got me through life to this point. I think I'd love to do one, if it's still number 9, to do with magic. I've not done a magic one, and whether that's in a magic shop or in a prop maker's shop who does magic tricks, sort of like the Columbo one where it's all magic props. I'd love to do something in that world, and that might be something that's not on number 9, but just anyway, I'd like to do that.
So the closest you came with that was Seance?
Probably, yeah. And that was, again, another sort of obsession with psychics and mediums and stuff. But even that I've not quite explored in the way I'd like to. I think there's more to be done with that world. I mean, it's sort of silly because of the ludicrousness of it anyway, but there's something to be done there, definitely. And, so those things I would like to explore. I just a straight up horror. We always talk about doing probably a haunted house, sort of a Legend of Hell House sort of team of parapsychologists arriving at a low budget horror film with a set in the investigation of a haunted house. That will be an appealing thing to do. It's always great when there are teams of people that don't get on brought together doing things. That's a conceit that always tickles me. But it's sort of done to death a little bit with the Paranormal Activity films where you'd want to do something like that, but I don't know. We'd have to think what way could you do it, because there's been a lot of quite good and quite bad ghost stories of recent times. So it'd be have to try and think of a new way in. Even
as far as bait and switch on a television platform, you can go back to what, Ghost Watch?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that was a great one because it felt so authentic and in broad daylight. That Stephen King thing of the ghost being in the radiator and not in a haunted house, not in a spooky mansion. But yeah, that would be something to explore, just doing a horror. But I mean, I think, there is talk of the League of Gentlemen doing something again.
Really?
Yeah. Which will be, we keep meeting up. We keep saying we will do something. And that would be nice to mark the 20th anniversary. I mean, unbelievably. 2019 would be 20 years since we were on the TV. We've sort of already had our 20th anniversary if you start from when we began it, which was like 1997. So we've done it. But who knows?
But come on, television makes it real.
Absolutely, yeah. TV is where it all began, really. So we will, and if we could think of a thing that was good and we felt like we weren't sullying the original. I mean, the thing about that is, League, it was never as good as people think it was. It's now like it was this amazing thing and everyone loved it. No one liked it. It was barely watched. I lived through it. I know what happened. And it was a quirky sort of weird little thing that some people knew about, but it never really felt to me like it broke through. It was an odd TV program with some quite creepy characters, and it was liked by those that liked it, but never massive. Now it's like these people that have revised history, and they talk like it's this fabled. I mean, of course they do. That's that thing, isn't it, where it all looks rose tinted and they only remember the best bits, which is why you'd never be able to do something that wouldn't disappoint. That's my worry, that even if it genuinely was brilliant and better than the original, it wouldn't be.
Well, I mean,
because people simply can't accept it.
I mean, how do you view something like that?
How do we what?
I mean, how do you view something like that as far as getting back together? Because there's two ways to look at reuniting in a group form when you have a body of work behind you. One is reunite to do the greatest hits, meaning everyone wants to see those characters. We're going to reunite and do those characters again. And that's a form of reunion. The other is, hey, what they really want is us to work together again. Let's work together and craft something new under the umbrella of this is the title we all went by when we worked together. So this is a new piece of work from us, but it owes, nothing to that, pre-established work and characters. Yeah,
it's hard, isn't it? Because I think if people heard that the League of Gentlemen were doing something again, they would be leaping to the idea that we were doing Royston Vasey and those characters that they remembered. I think your heart would sink a little bit if you thought...
They just want to see Panto Lazaru.
Yeah, I know. Panto Lazaru. With a half mask on, peeping out of these little... I know. I'm not sure what we would do. I think it'd be a halfway house between the two scenarios you just gave. I think you'd want to feel like there's some invention, otherwise it's just an empty exercise. And I'm not sure that we would be totally comfortable with just the greatest hits. Because we sort of did that on our first tour. That was all the best bits of the sketches that we'd been doing for years anyway. Or maybe time has passed enough that people would like Steve to come out and say, okie dokie, picking a pokey, and do a Pauline. I think you want to create a scenario.
And then turn right around as soon as the applause happened and it's done.
Yeah. Turn around and walk off again. Yeah.
It's a cavalcade.
Do that. I mean, that actually would be very daring, wouldn't it? I think we just need a way where you can do a bit of both. There's some invention with the new things. There's a reason to return. If it was Royston Vasey, you'd have to have a reason to go back there. Has it changed at all? Is it exactly the same? You've got to, if you actually start thinking about it, you've got to start questioning if it's now, that means that Pauline is 70. Have they all aged? And are they all 20 years older like we are? Or do you just present them as they were then and you don't worry about that? But I think it's a tricky thing to get right. I'm not sure. We've had some conversation about it, but Jeff would be an old man. How would you do it? I'm definitely love to do more Legs Akimbo. I think we should have done a series of them touring schools anyway.
You should still do that.
Different play. I'd love to do that.
Maybe you just need to establish a new Legs Akimbo team. And that's it. They've moved on to training.
Yes.
They franchised Legs Akimbo.
Yeah. And he can't help himself but stand up and tell them how to do it properly. He goes to watch them, he ends up getting up and overtaking it.
I mean, that's the difficulty of the way that you all did the film.
Yeah.
And established that meta nature for it, is you kind of put a very nice button on that world.
Yeah. I know, absolutely, yeah. And we tried to avoid the pitfall of the spin-off film by engaging the audience in the nature of the difficulty of the spin-off film. And that was sort of, it's too clever by half. I mean, the film is an odd thing. I saw it again quite recently and I thought, this is not half bad. There's too many ideas probably in it, but it's a noble effort, I think, and not, but you know, again, people very unsatisfied with it. Some really like it. I mean, but it was very quickly written off as we shan't talk about the film. But I think there's some really good bits in it, and it's just, you know, you can never please taste completely. People don't like Jeff, then you've got a lot of Jeff in the film, you're not going to like it. And that was the odd thing about the third series, when we sort of kept to one character for each episode. It was like, well, the nature of the sketch show sort of element of picking and choosing is you've only got a minute and a half with someone you might not like before another thing comes along. So, I
mean, did you, when you got to the third season, did you feel the burden of expectation as far as we have these characters, people like these characters, I guess we have to service these characters, even though we may be done with these characters?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we were still of the mind that we didn't want to repeat ourselves, and any accusation of treading water or doing the same thing or just bringing out the characters and doing a catchphrase and leaving, we really didn't want to do that. So that was why we came up with this idea of a slightly longer form narrative with one character sort of servicing the bulk of the plot, and yet hopefully a cleverer idea on top of everything with this repeat of the same event and arriving at the same point and eking out that story and what did that mean week by week. It was convoluted, possibly too complicated, but people now look at the third series and enjoy it, I think. So,
I mean, the beautiful thing as far as where you and Steve have gone since is that you sort of then explored the extremes in both direction. One, you committed to a very dense narrative with Psychoville and continuity. And then now with number 9, it resets every time.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's a lovely thing as writers to be able to do that, you know, to be free to just tell a little story. You can have absolute peaks of drama. People can die and it doesn't matter because there's no consequence. So oftentimes some of the things in the half hour of a number 9 you couldn't do in a series because you'd be nowhere else to go. You know, that there's those heights can't be, you can't do that every week. So that's why you can have these things. I mean, the Grandma's Party one in series 2 with where Steve's head is in the cake, the BBC saw that as script and they thought, oh, because it was the nearest thing that we've ever given them that's almost like a traditional sitcom, like a family. They were like, could that be a series? And we were like, well, no, because it was only good because we could do what we could do with it. You know, it completely the household was blown apart by the end of that episode and you possibly could have done something, but it was intriguing to me that they thought that was potentially a world that we could just do. We can reset itself and it's like a My Family. But, we thought about it for a minute and then realized it wasn't, if you were going to do something like that, it's not the way around to come at it. You know, you shouldn't have one and think, can it be expanded? You should have a thing that you think has got legs for that sort of template in the first place.
Having said that, are there any characters you look at and go, you know, I kind of would like to revisit them? I'm wondering where they are now.
I would like to do more of the Witchfinders. I could have a series.
I was just about to say that.
Of Warren and Clark wandering the countryside and different cases each week. I think that would be such fun.
I kind of just want to see more David Warner in anything.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. No, that would be fantastic. And to have them come in, preside over various witch trials and have them, you know, preening in when they arrive at the village like little stars. It was such a funny idea. I love doing that one just because of the absurdity of the language, which is all authentic. You know, it was like we did the witch before they'd done the witch.
It remains a beautiful episode.
Wow, thank you. I think so.
I don't know where it would be on my list, but
on my worst list.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, easily the worst you guys have done.
Yeah. Of course, down there.
I mean, as long as we're both agreed on that. I mean, you know, so far, obviously, you two recur. I mean, because of the nature of the show, theoretically, you could bring back a stable of actors, anyone, to do another role in an episode.
Yeah, we've been quite good at trying not to repeat ourselves. I mean, we had Jason Watkins in who broke our rule a little bit because he was in Psychoville and we had him in a number 9. That's the first, I think, actor that we've had as a repeat of anyone coming back. We've tried to keep it, so faces don't reappear apart from Steve and I. We could have done the whole of number 9 with a little repertory company and the same actors playing different roles week upon week. And that would have been a way of presenting these little plays, but there's so many great actors, that, here. And I think that, and oftentimes we think of people in the casting process that, we think, I bet they might just say yes to this because they're never asked to do this kind of thing. And oftentimes if you can get to them, the agent just doesn't say no, he wouldn't even consider that. They often do say yes. We've got some great people in the 4th series lining up to do it. And it's lovely to work with different people and for Steve and I to play one character for a week. We're so used to doing these things where we're in makeup every 45 minutes getting changed for the next thing. And it's been a joy to do these sort of plays. They're very appealing for actors because, you're in and out in a week. Hopefully they're a good script. Steve and I sort of know what to do as far as trying to hook people in. We trick people into thinking they've got a good part by writing, even if it's a small part, we know what it's like to look through a script and you've been asked to do a certain role and you read your bit. And even if there's one sentence that's got a funny little thing about it, that might be enough for you to go, oh yes, I'm going to do it for that. And I think we're aware of that as actors and we try to make sure that there's nothing that people wouldn't want to do, even if it is only a line. It's sort of, you forfeit the idea of thinking I'm not the main one in it because they're all sort of ensemble. And I think people now have latched onto that, and I think that they think they're a good thing to do.
I mean, who's on your wish list that you haven't had yet? And don't spoil anything in series 4.
No. Well, I don't know. It'd be great to get a McKellen or someone like that to do it. I mean, we've had Jacoby's voice. He would have been good to visually have, but Judi Dench, Julie Walters, that'd be great. These are people that it would be amazing to get them doing something that you don't normally see them doing. And I can see if we had the right part, they might say yes.
But you haven't approached them, so you have no idea if they would or not. I mean, has anyone turned you down?
There's been a few people turn me down. Yeah, turn us down. Not.
No, just you personally. They don't turn Steve down. It's just, it's just you they turn down. I think the internet is conspiring against us.
Well, that's weird. I can hear you now.
You went silent and then the connection dropped.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what happened there. So yes, some people have said yes, but and then been unable to make the dates work. But generally, a really good roster of great actors and sort of comedy actors as well, which has been lovely to do.
And you did have a repeat from going back to previous work, because obviously David Warner was in the League of Gentlemen film.
Oh yes, of course, yeah, he was. He was in the League. Yes, he was in the as Dr. P. So we have had that, yeah.
So you just couldn't refrain from using David Warner.
No, not again. Yeah, no, we knew he'd be perfect in that part. So it was lovely to get him. He's very, he's lovely, David. He's very humble about everything. I emailed him about when John Hurt had died, and he was reminiscing about Little Malcolm. That film that he did with him, and the struggle against the eunuchs. And he was because he's brilliant. They're both brilliant in that. He was saying how amazing he was because he saw that play and he saw John Hurt in it, and he was so jealous that he wasn't part of it. And then when the film came along, the director was a friend of his, so that's how David Warner got a part in that film.
I still have my memory of meeting John Hurt was at the BFI Doctor Who 50th anniversary screening.
Amazing.
Very tiny man.
He's little, isn't he? Yes, I saw him at a thing, and he was tiny. Yeah.
But wonderful. Very, very gregarious, fun guy to be around.
Yeah. Yeah, so it seems, yeah. It seemed like he was a lovely fella, yeah.
Well, I mean, you are constantly working now. You're constantly in plays when you're not doing TV.
Yeah.
Do you feel well established in your career? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel that this is what I do? This is my thing, and I'm respected and desired to do parts.
Hello.
Here's the thing. I think that clearly the internet is trying to tell us both that we should wrap up.
Yeah, okay. It's like Black Mirror, something's going on.
It's Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie knows that we're stealing focus.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about him enough. Before moving on.
So Charlie. And here I was trying to give you tremendous compliments on the fact that you have a well-established career with a beautiful body of work.
Yeah.
Except for that one episode, which we both know is awful.
I know, yes, the most hated.
You gotta do better than that.
I know, I'll try.
May take you numerous series, but you gotta fix that.
Well, that's it. We've got to keep working at it until we write a comedy.
I'm telling you, the Inside Number 9 that takes place within the sitcom.
Yeah, I think there's something in it.
Maybe do it as a noises off. So you have what's going on in front of the audience, and then what's going on when those actors are not doing their parts within that live production. But
then would people just say it's like extras?
No. Yours is going to be great.
Yeah. Wow.
But you can cast Ricky in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and have him.
That'll be brilliant. See, then guaranteed BAFTA.
Absolutely.
So one way or another, you will get that BAFTA before you die.
I just want one for Inside Number 9, then I'll be happy.
You know what? You still got a chance. I'm sure you'll get that Series 5.
Yeah.
Have there been rumblings of that?
No, not yet, because we're still in the middle of Series 4. But I don't know whether they would wait on the response of the fourth. They didn't wait on the response of the third, but the third one is going down very well. But we've got this fourth, so that's great. And who knows? I mean, I think it will begin to depend on whether Steve and I think we could keep doing it. I mean, there's no reason why not. I think with a bit of a respite, we've got a book of one-line ideas that we've been mining forever, where we just write these things down. You know, as long as we can keep thinking of scenarios, and we're happy with not feeling like we've done it. I think there's definitely it could go on forever. There's no reason, because it literally resets itself. They can't accuse it of getting stale, but you just wouldn't want the quality to dip.
Well, I mean, he talked about, the one idea being too unwieldy. Could you see a film?
Yeah, well, yes, that could be the Number 9 film, or Halloween special, or Christmas special of a Halloween, where it was a bit longer and it was a bit more involved in all it was a sort of portmanteau thing and within it you were able to get different stories, and in those stories you went out of where you were. So that was what we felt like wasn't quite, not a true Number 9. It was a way of leaping outside of itself, and it didn't feel quite right. It felt a bit too unwieldy, but it would work for the scenario for a film idea, for the framework of something like that. But maybe we've done that too often. I often think maybe we've done the portmanteau too many times. We feel like we did it with the Christmas special of League, and then we did the Halloween special of Psychover, which is also that way of doing 3 different stories. And it's a lovely device, and it fits our sensibility because of the Amicus horrors. But it might be like, you can't do another one.
Yeah, but I think, you look at the merit of the work. If the work itself is great, devices are used again and again in perpetuity.
Yes, of course they are, yeah.
So you shouldn't deny yourself doing what could be a wonderful piece of work, because it just stylistically is similar to what thousands have done before you.
True. Oh, no, that's true, yeah. No, you'd be trapped in the headlights, never doing anything otherwise, wouldn't you?
And we certainly wouldn't want you trapped in the headlights.
No. Maybe that's the Number 9.
Oh.
Being trapped in the headlights on Number 9 motorway.
I hope you're writing this down. Are you texting Steve right now? Is that what's at the middle of the night? I've got it. Well, you two remain brilliant. I just wanted to say that.
Just in the middle of my new Number 9 idea.
What's going to happen inside the 9th attempt to finish this conversation?
Exactly, yeah. This in itself is a Number 9.
You can't stop creating.
I know. Everything be spinned into one.
Well, I before it cut it off, I did hear the about the number 9 motorway.
Yes.
Trapped in the headlights.
Right. Yeah.
So get on that. And what I was saying when it all went silent was that congratulations on another brilliant series. I expect it to go downhill in the second half. I haven't seen. So,
of course. Yeah.
Let this be a demarcation point of my compliment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're not commenting on the 3 you haven't seen at this point.
No. I would not project forward to believe that you'll be able to maintain the brilliant consistency you've had so far. At some point, you have to stumble. But as of right now, take this compliment that you two remain brilliant. And God!
This is getting ridiculous now.
This is very ridiculous. So I'm going to say that you two remain brilliant.
Thank you.
This has been a brilliant conversation.
Thanks.
I'm sorry that it became such a burden for us both.
It's a trial. How will you edit it? Will these interruptions be in the final edit or not?
Oh, they have to be.
Yeah.
Oh, there's going to be some beautiful sound effect that I'll find to represent the dropping of the signal. It's going to be fantastic. So much Foley.
I look forward to hearing it back.
Well, we should do this again in the future when we have a solid connection. Maybe we can rope Steve into one of these.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I'm sure he'd love it. And we must do it sooner than we did last time. Yeah,
this has been a ridiculously long time.
Yes, it has, yeah. So let's do it when recently, but then not too soon, otherwise I'll just say the same things again.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, as long as you can bear it, I'll bring you tomorrow.
Done. Let's see how long we can keep the conversation going before it disconnects.
Okay.
Well, so I say goodbye to you, and we should probably say goodbye to everyone who may or may not be listening to this.
No one now. 9 people left.
Yeah. Well, the 9th person wins a walk-on cameo in the 7th episode of the next series.
Yes, that's exactly right. All right, great.
Well, thank you very much, and goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.